Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to a new TW9 video. We're only 2 weeks away, I believe, from Grand Slam Australia, and I'm looking forward to this one. This one is telling a few stories. This one is getting us firmly on the road to that show, and I'm looking forward to what's ahead. Basically, there's a lot of good things planned, and there's a good change of direction for a few things as well. So without me blathering on, because to be honest, from the last show, nothing's really happened. I think we just jump straight to Dynamite. So in true Tony Khan fashion, I decided, why don't we jump straight in to an all-star six-man tag, because he loves them, from the Gutterson Fieldhouse. Not all my booking's flawless, in fact very little of it actually is, and I take a lot from what I watch, so this is why you get stuff like this. But anyway, combining a few feuds together here, because I felt like it was a good opportunity to increase the heat in all of them. We saw great wrestling and good heat, as the trio of Konosuke Takeshita, Bobby Lashley and Swerve Strickland defeated the team of Will Ospreay, Ricochet and Orange Cassidy in 13:47 when Bobby Lashley pinned Ricochet with the spear. This match was designed so the wrestlers would go out and steal the show. I actually thought they'd do a lot better than they did. But a 73 for the wrestling, a 58 for the crowd and a 70 overall, so pretty decent stuff there. We kind of need them a bit higher if it was to main event. Orange Cassidy was really off his game, so that's a bit disappointing. You probably lose him down from a 66 rating, but I'd say everyone else was pretty good in relation to our product, apart from Bobby Lashley with a 58. But that's fine, that's cool. We can work on that. The two storylines advance and gain heat, which, as I say, was probably one of the more optimal things we're looking for. And Ricochet is getting better at his gimmick, being a very flippy man. We then have some words from Mick Foley. His first words since that horrible match with Hangman Adam Page, where he had to take a stunt bump. And he just basically says to Hangman, you know, he's getting there, he's nearly fully healed. Darby Allin's nearly healed from his injuries. Kayfabe, of course. And he confirms to Hangman at Grand Slam Australia, we're going to see Hangman Adam Page versus Darby Allin, special guest referee Mick Foley. I'm going to try and make it as dangerous as a match as I can. I know which network will not allow me to do that, so I will not have them host the show. I just want to see how a deathmatch works in our product, so we'll try and get that done from Hangman and Darby Allin. 46, and the storyline advances. And gain seat, always a good sign. Well, this one was quite surprising to be as good as it was. Good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Kazuchika Okada defeats Dustin Rhodes in 11:55 with the Rainmaker. It gives Okada the 11th defence of the Continental Championship. I felt it was a good opportunity to see, you know, if what Dustin can still bring, effectively. Fair enough, it's only a 49 here, and that's with great chemistry, so that's a bit of a boost. But Okada carrying him with a fantastic 85. A 73 for the matchup overall, and it continues his great momentum going into Grand Slam. And then, just again, more words from Kazuchika Okada mocking the level of competition he's had so far and saying, really, is this it's time for AEW management to step up with his level of opponents. 58. We then have a little segment here, so I'm going to explain what we're doing with this one. So Tony Schiavone is confirming that what we'd heard from recently in Dynamite, that Daniels was not doing great. Nigel McGuinness had a word on his ear. Tony Schiavone has confirmed to Christopher Daniels that a few things are going to happen, actually. Christopher Daniels will no longer be the on-air authority figure in this universe, but representing EVPs. I'm trying not to have, like, the Young Bucks and Okada have too much sway. I just want it to be one person and one man at the moment. I think what down the line we're going to have basically an authority figure for the men and an authority figure for the women, and try and have them as two different parallel universes. But Tony says Daniels is done. Next week on Dynamite, we will have the new authority figure for AEW Dynamite that will be the matchmaker and will be reporting stuff from Tony Khan. They'll be announced. They will also confirm Okada's opponent for the pay-per-view for Grand Slam. Basically, I was going to debut. I was going to make them appear at the event, but I feel it's probably better for them to get a wee appearance on Dynamite, get a bit of positive momentum heading in to Grand Slam. We then had a wild brawl that saw Athena defeat Emi Sakura in 8:44 with a top rope stunner. 4th defence of the TBS Championship. Anytime I've had Emi Sakura in, she's always been really, really good. And I feel like Athena gives her another defence before we get to her versus Diona at Grand Slam. I thought they might be a bit better as a wild brawl, but sometimes it's just not to be the case. But a 66 overall is pretty good. Athena with a very stellar 71. And we then hear from Athena basically the words that we've had from Diona Purrazzo, from Megan Bain, and from Taya Valkyrie. And she says she'll take on all comers, you know what I mean? The end game is going to be her versus Diona, and she's going to whip her ass, basically. And that was a 62. Then we've done like a showcase match for teams involved in the Tag Team Championship match. Plus we've had the Lucha Bros in to let them do something. Because obviously 3 of the teams in it are heels. Of course the champs of the House of Blacks, Kings of the Black Throne are heels. So in this one it was the team of Aussie Open who are in it. Team up with the Lucha Bros to take on the Young Bucks and Shelton Benjamin and Powerhouse Hobbs from the Hurt Syndicate. And then about they had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. The Young Bucks and the Hurt Syndicate defeat Aussie Open and the Lucha Bros when Powerhouse Hobbs pinned Mark Davis with a frog splash in 13-17. 73 overall. So the multi-man tags really, really work with our product, so that's something we may see more often. Best performances, the Bucks went 80 and a 76. Penta was down to a 62, being really off his game. Ray Phoenix with a 77. Fletcher, not too bad, 69, and probably the better performance so far since his return for Powerhouse Hobbs. We then had a little segment here, maybe a bit of giveaway what's happening, but Big Bill and Brian Keefe are, again, saying they're going to look to do Chris Jericho proud. They miss him. They want to know that he's doing well after his horrible, horrible injury. 42. We then had Top Flight take on Big Bill and Brian Keefe, and it was in a decent matchup that saw Top Flight pick up the win in 9-14 when Dante pinned Brian Keefe with a red eye. Made it storytelling, felt it was the weakest match on the card, that's why it got it, and a 56 overall. After the matchup, we see Chris Jericho come out, but he looks so much different. He's clean shaven, we'll just say he was in a suit. He basically looks like 2009 Chris Jericho again. But why? It's a 75 segment. We are going to change the gimmick, and he's going to be a megalomaniac. Initial rating of great, likely to rise over time, very marketable, and wins and losses will have a greater impact on momentum than normal. But what does this mean in the future for Jericho and the learning tree? It remains to be seen. We had a little segment here. It was the Elites, Kazuchika Okada alongside the Young Bucks, and they talk basically about how they've been on a great run. Okada's been making defence after defence. The Young Bucks have been on a great tear. They are looking to be tag team champions again. They're won tonight. They're feeling confident. But all this is happening when Jack Perry's not there. And it's making them think, are they better without? More on that, but that'll be a 70 rated segment there. And our main event delivered, which I'm delighted to see. And a good technical masterclass, because you know it's a blood feud, it needs to be a technical masterclass, but it was to play everyone's strengths. Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta have defeated the Blackpool Combat Club's Claudio Castagnoli and Pac in 15:54 when Garcia pinned Pac. 68 for the wrestling, 56 for the crowd, but a 74 segment overall. The storyline gains heat. Claudio's benefiting from a hot move. He was off his game, so he'd have been in the 70s as well. But really, really impressed there, especially from Daniel Garcia. That's really good stuff. And we finished the show. If you watched the last episode, you know where we're going. Claudio and Pac are joined by Jon Moxley. It's a 3-on-2 beatdown on Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia before returning from his small hiatus. It was only it was going to be a short retirement, but Bryan Danielson makes the save and they chase off the Blackpool Combat Club for a 67 rating. The storyline advances, loses heat, and Bryan was fantastic. Obviously in real life, at the time of recording, it looks like he's going to be out for a while, but then he'll be back sparingly. I need to get this company as high up to big as possible, as quickly up to big as possible, and as high up in terms of popularity. It's fantasy booking. I've always said, like, this one's not going to be realistic at all. We will try and carry storylines, but it won't be too realistic, so I thought we'll stick to it, we'll give Brian the hiatus, but as soon as we can get him back, we're getting him back. So just to confirm, if it wasn't obvious enough before, Grand Slam, Claudio Castagnoli, John Moxley, and Pac will take on the team of Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, and the American Dragon, Brian Danielson. That's why Eddie's facing Gabe Kidd at one point, and that's why Darby Allin was quickly shifted back to Hangman before he'll come back and get his revenge here. The show was a 73 and increases their popularity in 16 regions, so that's pretty much everywhere in the States. That's good to see, and obviously restrictions elsewhere. But overall, with the amount of greens there we had, the dark green, sorry, I feel that's a far better show. A lot into the 70s, especially match-wise, so that's encouraging for the pay-per-view as well. And kudos to Chris Jericho there, because that 75 is obviously carried us there alongside the main event matchup. So I'm really happy with that one. And I say that puts us in a good position for the pay-per-view. There's one or two things I want to adjust that I'll need to kind of fix next episode, but that'll be fine. And nothing in locker room incidents. So I'll see you for Rampage and Collision. A Rampage taping. Saw a few call-ups from Ring of Honor just to really see what they're up to these days, how they're performing, how they're improving, how they're developing. So Billy Starks teamed with Athena as they took on the Virtuous Vanguards, Megan Bayne and Taya Valkyrie. Athena and Billy picking up the win with a 66 rated match, so probably should have main evented. After this, Athena just catches a few words on her opponent for Grand Slam, that is a challenger of Deonna Purrazzo, the leader, of course, of the Virtuous Vanguard, and just saying, you've sent your two lackeys here, they haven't got the job done, and especially at the pay-per-view, you won't get the job done either, basically is the point I'm making here. Lee Moriarty defeated Michael Nakazawa, one of the best theme songs. I still think that initial theme song is a 53. I wanted to see what Matt Menard and Angelo Parker could do in terms of promo, so 51 for them. I've not really done much to say, which is a bit of a shame. Hikaru Shida defeated Red Velvet, which was a 59. We had some more words from Christian alongside the rest of the patriarchy. That is, of course, Nick Wayne, Shayna Wayne, and Killswitch. That's a 61. Remember, in this universe, Christian still has that little I am a future champion card that he could pull. And our main event saw the cold-hearted, handsome Devil Hook take on the Machine, Wolverine, Brian Cage, and that was a 51. Believe it or not, I actually have plans for Brian Cage in the future. But a lot of the kind of ideas I have that aren't already on the series so far pretty much kick in that run to Revolution and post that, basically. The idea I have with Brian Cage I'm quite excited about. Whether it pulls off remains to be seen, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen before then. But anyway, that was Rampage. Hopefully you're excited for Brian Cage in the future. And time to collide. So we are in Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida, and we probably should have stuck this as the main event, because it's been one of the best non-Brian Danielson or Will Ospreay matches so far. Tag champs, put them on the line against the Lucha Bros, the only team, of course, not in that four-way that I'd say are like mega over. So it was about to have some great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, and the Kings of the Black Throne defeated the Lucha Bros in 13:49 when Brody King pinned Penta with Dante's Inferno. I made this still a show. I thought this would be excellent, and it's absolutely proved to be the case. So you might actually see more tag team main events if this is the ratings we're going to get for it. It's the 7th defense of the AEW World Tag Team titles. Phoenix was a 91, which is absolutely stellar. 77 Penta, 65 Malachi Black, and a 70 for Brody King. But overall, it brings us an 80 rated segment. Very good stuff. We then have a few words from the House of Black as Matthews has joined Malachi Black and Brody King, and they just talk about how they find it laughable that Aussie Open, the EVPs, the Young Bucks, and of course Hobbs and Benjamin from the Hurt Syndicate all believe they are going to take these tag team championships away from the house. Just say it's not possible, and they've just saw what they're capable of, and they're going to be even more dangerous in that environment. That was a 51. Oh, this one was pretty shit. Wild brawl, decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. We had Gabe Kidd defeat Dustin Rhodes in 709 with a sick kick. 44 overall. Sadly, Gabe was really off his game and they didn't click, and it showed in the performances, so that's pretty poor. Must keep stressing that Gabe is not a full-time member of the roster. He's strictly a very high appearances loan. We then had some words from Eddie Kingston on the Tron, and he just says, "Oh, that's cute, you've beat Dustin Rhodes. Maybe you have got a little bit about you, but rest assured, as soon as I'm fully fit, I'm fully healthy, I'm coming back for you, Gabe, and I'm taking your leg like you took mine. And I'll just address all my enemies here and say when Gabe Kidd's done with, I'm coming back for you, Mox, Claudio, Pac. Don't think I've forgotten about you." So Eddie's just hating everybody, and that's a 56. That also explains why he obviously have done with Eddie in that 3v3 match. Then had a little segment here where we had Hangman having some words for Darby Allin and Mick Foley. So basically the announcement is Mick Foley is a special guest referee for the most dangerous match we can get for Hangman and Darby. I'll try and make it a death match this time, but we'll see. But it just says Hangman saying, "I've nothing to lose now. Everything is just falling apart since I lost that World Championship. You saw what I've done to Swerve. You saw what I've done to Mick Foley. Just think what I'm going to do to you, little man." So 55, the storyline advances and gains a bit of heat. More on that later on. Next up, I had a decent matchup. Orange Cassidy defeats Jay Lethal in 8:33 with Orange Punch. Simple, effective, good match in the mid card. I feel like Orange obviously needs as much momentum as possible going into Grand Slam against Swerve, and obviously Jay Lethal's obviously pretty talented, and we can afford him to have a few losses. So 65 overall, solid stuff. While that was taking place, we see on the Tron, I like to use the Tron here for angles, and it is Swerve Strickland, and he is beating down one of the other members of the conglomeration. It is of course Kyle O'Reilly, and you just basically see the disgust from Orange Cassidy, and I'm actually being arsed as he has to run to the back to try and make the save as Swerve and Prince Nana run off. 67 advances the storyline. Another wee dimension to that story. So Swerve is properly just being dangerous, being nasty, and Orange Cassidy still really to get the one up on Swerve so far. Next up, we had some great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd with the American Dragon Bryan Danielson defeat the Beast Mortos in 12:28 with a running knee, 74, 48 and 80. We've got Bryan. Try and put him in as many dream match scenarios as you can. And as I say, if he's getting 8 or 80 matches with Beast Mortos who still go over, then I'm quite excited for what ratings he can get for us. Of course, we have some words from Bryan. You can't just have him basically just return and have a match. He just says, so for people wondering, well, why come straight back? Why have a match with Beast Mortos? He knows it's not very long until it is the 3v3 battle against the Blackpool Combat Clubs, Claudio, Mox and Pac. He knows he needs to be as best prepared as he can. He needs to be at another level. It means that he is going to have to take on these matches week after week to make sure that when that 3v3 happens, he's no excuses. He's got to be at his peak level and see what he can do. So that was a 74. So good stuff there. Probably, if I'm being honest, need to have more interactions with Bryan and Yuta. We'll build that in the next few weeks because obviously Yuta kind of cost him his career accidentally. Something I need to look at. Next up, we had a decent matchup that saw Mariah May and Serena Deeb defeat the Killer and the Pillar, Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker DMD, when Mariah May pinned Jamie Hayter with a reverse bulldog following a distraction from Britt Baker. So 62, 49 and 64. Let's try and explain this one to you. So the storyline, I needed a matchup between Mariah and Jamie, and I needed Mariah to get the advantage, so that's why the storyline gains heat. Obviously, there's rumours IRL that the two of them aren't on speaking terms, but I thought storyline purposes, we'll put them together for this matchup. You know, they're all back on track, but obviously Britt's been a bit dodgy recently in how she's been acting, so obviously she basically just walks out on Jamie here, which allows Mariah and Serena to pick up the win. So with that, I'm going to turn her heel, right, which was a complete success. The heel turn is not necessarily on Jamie. The heel turn here is just a case of I don't need this, I'm out of here. But we'll probably have like a wee kind of, maybe one match against Jamie just to say, hey, what were you doing, kind of thing. Also, lol, that they had great chemistry, but that's them done. And she's still penalised for being in extremely poor form. So, worst performance here, 51, 73 for Jamie, 61 Serena, 63 Mariah. I think if we can get Serena more over, we could probably see her in the 70s. I want to kind of give her one big run. And then with Britt Baker away, Mariah and Serena get more of an advantage here as they beat down Jamie Hayter. Again, just to extend the heat on the storyline and properly have I've obviously done a lot of these angles where the face's just been beat down, but I like to play the revenge storyline, so yeah, that's a 52. Then had Big Bill cutting some words on Chris Jericho. He says he doesn't know what's getting to Chris, but he's here to make him proud, and they've managed to track down a link to Chris Jericho's past in AEW, and Big Bill's going to show him, that the future is with the Learning Tree, and that this past will never ever affect Chris Jericho. So, storyline advances, 53. Basically, Jake Hager came up and said, can I work tonight? And I went, that's a storyline we can utilise. So, and about had decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Big Bill defeats Jake Hager in 8:50 with the East River Crossing. Storytelling matchup. Jake only 37 and off his game, a 51 overall. But in truth, Jake came up and said he wanted to work, so I thought, we'll use you this one-off appearance and he'll be gone again. So I'm going to try and utilise that if we get people who want to work, so they'll put our talents over. But just adds another layer to the learning tree. We then had a little segment backstage where Darby Allin has been taken around to, I don't know where Raven be holding out, but basically here, Darby's going to have a very dangerous match with Hangman. Mick Foley basically says to Darby, you're going to have to go to lengths that you've probably never been to before, and you've been to some pretty sick lengths. So it's time for you to meet some really, really extreme people. So the first person he's brought him to is Raven. And Raven just says, look at the neck of me. Look how I look right now. But that shows you the pain and torture I put my body through, the depths that I was willing to go, how dangerous I was willing to be to hurt my opponent. So just remind yourself, like, when you see me, when you see the state of Mick, you're going to have to go to some awful dark places if you want to eradicate Hangman in your battle for AEW. So it's a 56. It's an initial rating of great for Raven. I do actually have something for him, weirdly enough, which will happen post Grand Slam. It's one of these weird ideas I had in work that I just thought I'm going to do that in TW. So we utilise Raven's experience there as we build up Darby versus Hangman. I kind of don't want to take Darby out of this because he's getting straight back into the battle for the company storyline. And our main event, we still should gain pop, which is good. But it had great wrestling and decent reaction from the crowd. The aerial assassin Will Ospreay defeated Lee Moriarty in 12:04 with the Stormbreaker. So 86 for Ospreay, 58 for Moriarty. Only 58 is a bit worrying. Match suffered because there was a lack of selling, so this should have maybe been about a 76, 77. But it just shows that Lee can hang to an extent. Obviously, the problem is in the save, like Ospreay, Bryan at the moment are basically going to do a lot of heavy carrying, and we need to get everyone else up to that level. And after this, so basically to explain it, Ospreay's picked up the win. Takeshita comes down to beat him up. Lashley joins in because of the situation with the Hurt Syndicate. Ricochet tries to make the save, but it's two big guys against two not so big guys, so the heels here take a cheap shot, prevail. Babyfaces, as per this show, just seem to be down and out, and it's a 64 overall. My idea here, just to give it away because it's going to get announced on Dynamite anyway, I was going to go Takeshita Ospreay and Ricochet via Lashley, but due to how many matches I've got in the card, I'm just going to make it a 4-way for the International Championship. And obviously Ospreay is in a storyline anyway with the other guys, so it basically links them all together before we go other ways. So the show was a 72, very, very solid stuff. As I say, fantastic stuff from Brian. He obviously carried with a good promo and the match in the middle. Very good opener with the Lucha Bros and the Kings of the Black Throne. I think most of it is down to the Lucha Bros. And Ospreay and Moriarty was fine. So overall, it's good. Few stories told, which is ideal. As I say, we'll have a lot of decent heat. And popularity in 12 regions is good. Serena was slightly overused. Financial report, we're obviously making about $500,000 a show. It must be stated our finances 90.4, so we did make good profit. I think it was about 2 million we made. I did spend a good chunk of it just giving the full roster like 10k just to try and improve morale, since we had a good bit of margin to work with. And as I say, as we get bigger as a company, we're going to make more money, so we can obviously spend other stuff elsewhere. But I think the 90 million safety net, we could probably be a bit more aggressive with that over time. So that's your regions that have improved. And just in America alone, it was the Northwest and Puerto Rico that had the wee boost by one. But yeah, overall, solid stuff. It just means if we have another good show, then those places will gain. So you'll love to see it. But yeah, so coming up next for the next Dynamite and Collision, there's a lot of storyline stuff on this Dynamite. I haven't even booked it yet, and I know that in my head, because obviously you're getting the new authority figure and the announcement of Okada's opponent for the pay-per-view for Grand Slam, which I think we're only 2 weeks away. I'm just going to quickly check this to see. 14 days, so yeah, 2 more Dynamites and 2 more Collisions. Oh, interesting, Triple H. Well, at least it wasn't a media scrum, because you don't come across well on them. Roman Reigns won the Rumble. Obviously, it's usually that kind of thing. He'll probably win a Rumble soon if he's into one. He's far over than everybody else. What else happened at the Rumble? Oh wow, that's a very big show. I think they did. I think the Questlove did make it a 10-1 for the women's, just because there's never usually a full 30 women in the main roster, because obviously they utilise legends and NXT talent, so that's fine. So Roman wins that, Rhea wins that, Jade beat Cargo for the women's title, Liv retained hers against Ivy Nile. Lots of backstage segments, hype videos, and interviews. That's pretty cool. It's realistic. Just needs a few things advertising that particular area and about 90 other ads, but pretty good stuff. Bianca Belair over Roxanne Perez, Logan Paul over Dragon Lee, Pete Dunne and Grayson Waller over Ilya Dragunov and Baron Corbin. Austin Theory and Pretty Deadly defeat the team of Trick Williams, Cedric Alexander and Ashante Adonis. Raquel Rodriguez defeated Candice LeRae. Karrion Kross over Apollo Crews. It's a big long show. Naomi over Chelsea Green. Wesley defeated Andre Chase by disqualification. And then your pre-show matches including the Street Profits, the Creed Brothers, Dakota Kai, Sonya Deville, Joe Gacy, Cruz del Toro, Akira Tozawa, and Scotland's own Joe Coffey. Did 6 million subscribers on Netflix, 43k. So they get 81 for their show. So their shows are very, very good still. What I like about this, which is different from my last AEW save, is like WWE are Titanic here, so they're not going to be as easy to topple as they probably were in that one. But anyway, that was there. Arn Anderson has retired. LG Cleary is trying to fight. Collision report, a lot of praise. Anything else that directly affects us? Bazilla's on a media storm. That's the second time that's popped up, so she's still feeling the aftermath from that. Got a lot more stuff here. Call up for Mr. Stone. We'll get an injury for Driller Maloney. Oro Mensah's up to the main roster, as is Daryl Howard, whoever that is, and Derek Sanders. Are they referees? Oh no, Daryl Howard has basically came straight up from the Performance Center on the 17th, so obviously a generated wrestler. Charisma's good, microphone skills are good, menace is good, stamina, athleticism and power, just he's not very technically very good. So that's going to be intrigued to see how they do it, how he progresses. What we said though, debuting at 40, so obviously they're getting him up quickly. And he's already got a few head injuries previously. That's interesting. Derek Sanders, Well, that's just Tom Castle, that's the referee, that's fine. Just shows you the year referees, some names, you're just like, oh, right, I had no idea. So we are signing Shoko Nakajima. I just want somebody else that's going to put on some kick-ass matches. We'll put her to Ring of Honor to start with, but I just want a bit more depth to the women's division. We are looking to bring in the Sandman. Lorraine Punk is a new gen that just looks like there's potential there. And Jessie Mackay, we'll touch on her, what she's doing when she signs. Sandman, I think you can imagine, is going to be talking to Darby Allin. That's a bit obvious. So, Katsuhiko Kanazawa has left 0-1. The shortlist? Nah, just because I've got them already. Fine, that's fine. 1.22 rating for Collision. Drilla Maloney, obviously, because we've got shortlisted as part of New Japan. Dr. Britt Baker has poor psychology. She's not worth keeping around, from Scott Garland. So, Scott Totty's not a fan. So, quite a few things to cover there. I'm actually just going to touch on the finance situation. So, you see there, we made 1.7 profit. And as I say, most of that worker costs are already at that. As I say, I just gave everybody 100k to improve morale. Obviously, I think we actually would be in debt if we didn't have such good broadcast revenue. So that's what's paying for everything at this moment in time. But I think we are really going to start kicking on a gear this month. Like, we've been doing good. I've been enjoying it. But you're gonna notice when it's gonna start like going, the match ratings anyway are going to start going through the roof. So just to give an example quickly, because basically we've got a million things here. Best matches in 90 so far. We've got 185. I think we can start to get a lot more matches into the 80s going forward. 11 matches so far have been 80 or higher. Quite a lot, bang on 80. And that Kings of the Black Throne Lucha Bros match already in at P10. And we've had 3 so far this year. And Brian's got one of them already. Typical. But anyway, cheers for watching. It's much appreciated. If you enjoyed that, wee thumbs up. Let me know how your own saves are getting on. How you feel this TW has been so far in its lifespan. Don't worry about the version being like way behind what the patch is. I do play a lot in advance because it's a very addictive game. So this was the latest patch as of time of recording. But as I say, always check out the resources, places you've got, other people that have got visual content. Well, everybody's got visual content, I suppose, if you're making content, but written or verbal. And that can be either through Be the Bookers subreddit, Fantasy Bookers subreddit, I'm an arse of that. Crewdog Software forums, diaries are obviously there. Good place to check out a lot of people's written stuff. BeTheBooker.net and twdb.com. I got it right. Picture the little, but got it right. But take it easy, guys, most importantly, and I'll catch you for the next week of Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage. See you later. Bye bye.